There you go with that Android.
Bro, this is an Android. Oh, I guess it's still running on Android, but this is a Pixel. So,
oh, you got the new phone now.
nah, this isn't mine. It's my wife's.
Oh man, I thought we was.
Hey, bro, I mean, not to get the live started out wrong, but I've been scoping out that M1 chip on the new Max, and I think that's the deal, man. I think that's the juice right there for sure. So you might see your boy back on the Apple train.
Yeah, see my phone over here. I need to get me a new iPhone. I don't want to. We went to the water park the other day. I kept my phone in my pocket because you know the 8 is supposed to be waterproof. So you know, I had like water more moisture that got behind my cameras on the front and the back. So I had that glamour shots filter on all my photos.
You're glamoring it up for sure, 100%.
For the longest.
What's up, Ant? Yeah, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Camping was a blast, man. So I took the kids camping this past weekend. My wife was out of town on a girls' trip. She was actually down in New Braunfels, floating the river. And so it was just me and the kids. So I took them out to Purtis Creek State Park, which is actually a really, really nice state park up here in the Northeast Texas area. So don't tell everybody about that. Some assassins in this thing. What's up, gang? But yeah, man, beautiful, beautiful park, man. Fishing is pretty good out there as well, and but yeah, I mean, really great campsite. So it's a place that we really enjoy going to and hanging out. But we got some really good stuff on the agenda tonight to talk about, man. So a lot of you guys are probably aware we just dropped the new tourney season video. So from my Choke Canyon tournament. That video is getting a lot of feedback, which is something I absolutely love, and I really, really appreciate all of y'all for checking that video out. Definitely leaving all the feedback, the comments, the likes, all of that stuff. That stuff helps that YouTube algorithm to put that content out in front of more people, which brings more exposure to the brand and helps TBFD Gang grow and grow and grow. Because you guys know we are on a growth hiatus right now because Instagram really hates us right now. I don't believe they hate us, but the algorithm is definitely not working in our favor right now. So, you know, we've been on a growth hiatus for a little bit, but it's all good. We're picking things back up again. But yeah, I definitely appreciate everybody that's been checking that video out. Thanks to y'all for, again, the likes, the comments, you know, the feedback on that. I mean, that video, obviously you can see was an emotional roller coaster. And it was a day, man. It was an absolute day. What you got, Charlie? You look like you had something to say.
Nothing. I feel like you jumped into our first topic, and I didn't even start the timer.
Oh, my bad.
No, man. Yeah. So I saw a lot of feedback in the comments. I mean, what's something that stood out to you thinking about? You know, I mean, I know what's in there for some, you know, in some way, but tell me what you thought the feedback was looking like, because people seem to be, one, you know, kind of looking at the tourney scene themselves, or two, you know, really stoked on kind of what you're doing or seeing you put in work out there, you know, 21-inch fish, 17-inch fish, some solid fish on the water. I mean, what's the feedback looking like on tourney season right now?
I mean, the feedback is really great. I mean, you know, for that being the second tournament video that we've uploaded, you know, coming from the Decker Lake video, we didn't drop one for OHIV because that was an absolute atrocity. But then coming from, you know, that, you know, the uploads we've had in the middle of that to now dropping, you know, tourney season volume 2 with the Choke Canyon Lake, the feedback has been really, really interesting. You know, it's been a lot of, obviously, you know, great feedback coming because of the type of day that we were having, you know, that being, you know, really my first, that was my first time in the new boat. It was the maiden voyage of the Hobie. You know, I literally just picked the boat up. I had literally just rigged it up, and it was the first drop of water that got on that boat, and we had an absolute day going. You know, I had a bag. I was working on my kicker fish, you know, my fifth fish to solidify my submitted catches, you know, because I was only able to drop 4 scoreable fish. And, you know, it all just kind of came to a head at the, you know, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I got those messages started coming in, man. And it was just, it sucked all the wind out of my balloon, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. What's up, Albasa? What's up, Gavin? What's up, bro? Riggin?
Yeah,
what you doing, man?
Roger's up in here. What up, kids?
SKB, what's going on, man? Yeah, so I was curious. There's a handful of people in here right now. I'm just curious if any of y'all have seen the new tourney season video. If you haven't, for sure, jump over there and check that out. It's a video shot purely on GoPros, no big camera stuff on this one, but a lot of really solid fishing in there, a lot of really solid fish as well in that. I don't know if you've heard about South Texas this year, but it's been producing really good fish.
Man,
And this video is no different.
Yeah, man, it's one of those, that's one of the things about, this whole tournament scene thing for me, obviously doing the kind of fishing that we've been doing. Hey, Roger, I appreciate you copying that badge, bro.
Thanks, man.
I really appreciate that support. But, the tournament scene for me has been like this opportunity to prove myself, and
right.
I think that's something that a lot of, us as anglers, want an opportunity to do something like that, to really solidify our skill set and, to actually go out here on a lake, a new body of water for one. I had never even been to this lake before, and to go out there and be able to put the pieces together the way that I was able to, it really does say something about, the type of fishing that we do,
yeah.
And I don't want to dig too deep into this because this is actually a subject we're going to talk about tonight. But, it's really interesting, man, to think about, because, I know that there's this stigma that's out there between, tournament anglers, tournament kayak anglers versus social media anglers. Hey, John, I appreciate you copying that badge, bro. Thanks, bro. Always love the support, man. So, by the way, all you guys that are joining in here that are new to this, please consider buying a badge. The badges, obviously, they help support the brand, and they allow us to continue to create that really awesome content that you guys know and love. Because a lot of this stuff, it ain't cheap and it sure ain't free. But we gotta, we go out here and we put our best foot forward. Jolden, hey, again, bro, I appreciate you copying that badge, man. Thanks for that support and that love, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, man. Besides how things went at 2 p.m., you killed it, man. Yeah, one lure, one fish, bro. I really appreciate that, man. In the middle of this.
I thought it was me. I was like, it's my phone again.
Sorry, Pops, I had to ignore that call, but I'll call you back. But yeah, besides 2 p.m., yeah, that moment at 2 p.m. really did it sucked all the wind out of me. Man.
Right.
It was, and I know that y'all saw the disclaimer at the beginning of the video. If you watched it, there is some language, obviously we do our best, to keep that type of stuff out of our content, just simply because we like to create family-friendly content that anybody can watch and enjoy. I want kids to be able to watch my content and things like that. And, I would like for you to be able to sit down with your family and your kids if you're eating dinner and be able to watch my videos and enjoy them without listening to somebody berating, somebody on the phone with, a million F-bombs. So there was a huge flock of ducks out there on the lake that were going ham. But, yeah, man, so it was just, it was a day, man. It really was, I got into my first fish and it was really early. A lot of this even took place. So for me, I literally submitted my fourth scoreable fish at 10:30 in the morning. So I had 4 scoreable fish at 10:30 in the morning. And I had been on the water since 7. Lines in was 6, and I waited an hour to get on the water because I didn't have a 360 light, or my battery on my 360 light died. So obviously I can't be on the water with no light. So I waited until 7 to get on the water. And yeah, I don't even know how many fish I caught. I think I caught 8 total. And there's a fish that's not even in the video. I actually caught a catfish too.
Nice.
I was flipping some wood on the north end of the lake. And man, I swear I thought I had that one, man. I thought I had it. I thought that was the one. And it turned out to be like a 5-pound catfish.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, bro, don't even get me started on the gators, bro. So I saw 4 gators in total out there. 2 of them were over 12 feet. One of those 12-foot gators actually swam directly under my kayak and popped up about 5 feet behind me. So y'all know, your boy ain't, I'm about that life. So I had that 45 on the deck ready to lay it down if I had to. And I told him that I ain't the one. So if you want to try me, you can come get 13 of these hot ones in you real quick.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man, it was interesting.
That's what this weekend's gonna look like too. We're gonna have to stay strapped on these kayaks this weekend too.
Bro, tell me, man.
There's some 14s in this lake.
Yeah, man. Don't get caught lacking out here. Nah, but we're gonna be in Lake Fork this weekend. So Lake Fork is probably the most well-known fishery in the entire country. And it's a lake that we have not ever even fished before. It's a lake that, has been on the bucket list of places that I've been wanting to fish. And I've really been wanting to get on this lake for a really long time. And we finally put everything, dumped the blicky on them gators. That's right. And these Texas deer. Yeah, bro, they're so bad down there. But so we're going to be fishing Lake Fork this weekend. So you guys have probably saw my story that's been out there. We are looking for a place to camp on the south end of Lake Fork. We have a specific, area that we want to fish on the lake. And hey, Hooksetum, I appreciate you copying that badge, my bro. Appreciate
Thanks, bro.
And there's we want to fish the south end of the lake. And I know one of my 26,000 followers out here, one of y'all got something on Lake Fork. Y'all either got a house on the lake, we can camp in y'all's backyard. Like, we literally are just going to be there for like 8 hours. And it ain't
seriously.
Like we ain't setting up no camper or nothing crazy like that. Just some simple. Charlie's got a one-man tent. I'm sleeping in the back of the truck. We just need a secure place to pull up, drop camp, sleep, wake up at first light, pack up, and hit the water. That's it. So I know somebody out there on this thing, y'all got something down there at Lake Fork. You need to holler at me. Shoot me a DM. We can work something out. But nah, man, we're really pumped about it, man. It's gonna be a blast, man. I think it's gonna be a really fun and interesting trip. Definitely gonna be a really fun and interesting story and video that we put out based on this. And yeah, man, looking forward to it.
It's a party. Yeah. Well, real quick, just to kind of wrap up on tournaments. I mean, I know that although we're going there this weekend for creating content, you get out there and fish this lake hard, put in a solid, 12, 14-hour day out there. But at the same time, something just popped up with the tournaments where it looks like I might be going back out there in a few weeks. Is that right?
Yeah. Ja, hey, bro. My bro, Ja Jr. is on here. If y'all like hip-hop, probably one of the hottest underground hip-hop artists, period. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, this is facts. My boy's been on Sway in the Morning. You need to check out my bro. If you like hip-hop music, go get at my boy Ja. See what's up with him. Follow him. Shoot him a subscribe. And most definitely support his music, because the boy is on fire. And I'm not lying about that. That's real. I'm dead serious. But yeah, man, I appreciate you copying that badge, bro. But yes, back to the tournament stuff. So yes, actually, I was fishing a different tournament trail, the ACK Cats tournament series, and for me, that trail is actually over. They're going to be fishing. The championship is coming up in November. They're going to be fishing Sam Rayburn. I didn't qualify for the championship, so that trail is basically done. But Slade Nation tournament fishing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Slade Nation. My boy Frankie Proliphone or Provolone, but nah, Frankie is he's an awesome dude, man. Hey, one lure, one fish. Thank you for copying that badge, my bro. Appreciate you. But Frankie has Slade Nation tournament fishing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that tournament trail. Slade Nation actually has 30 tournament trails across the entire nation. They literally, Frankie started this whole tournament trail and series literally a year ago. And it has blown up. They have a small boat series, basically, where you can fish John boats, small bass trackers, whatever it may be, kayaks, whatever, canoes, and they have a kayak series as well. And I want to say they also have a bigger boat series too. Don't hold me to that, but I know for a fact they have a small boat trail and a kayak series. So we're going to be doing the Texas kayak series for Slade Nation. Yeah, we're a little late into it. This trail has been running since March of this year. They've actually fished some really, really good lakes. But next up on the list is April 21st is going to be Lake Fork. So I will be going right back out to Lake Fork again to fish a tournament, kayak tournament. So they've got 4 tournaments left on this trail before their championship. So who knows how it's going to go? I've got a kind of an itch that I got to scratch with this tournament thing, man, because I don't like the way that things ended up on Choke Canyon. I got to get out here and I got to get some redemption, and I got to try to get me a trophy, man, or try to get me a top 5 finish.
Also, I mean, just content strategy alone, having them tournament videos, be supplemental and in between the other videos we're doing. So
Absolutely,
I
man.
think
Because I mean,
overall, man.
yeah, I mean, because it's obvious, you know, you guys love the tournament content. You know, that's something that I've noticed, that you guys really love the tournament content. I think the tournament videos are probably some of my more popular uploads, or some of our more popular uploads. You know, whenever you really think about it, when I go back and look at the analytics of YouTube, you know, yeah, we've been dropping some really cool adventurous videos and things like that. Some absolute bangers, from chasing quads, you know, to the Little River Send, to the Down South video. You know, all of these videos all did really, really great. But y'all really love the tournament videos, you know, and I think, you know, I'm not a hardcore tournament guy. You know, that's not my angle. You know, that's not something that I'm going to just turn into, is be a tournament guy. But I have found this small liking of fishing tournaments. And I think a big part of it is, like I said in the beginning, is, you know, being able to go out here and solidifying my skill set, and, you know, putting fish in the boat whenever it counts, when you have to get fish in the boat, I think is a big part of it, you know, because, you know, I'm not just a social media fisherman at the end of the day.
Right. Hey, so we got about 2 minutes before we get to this, and there's a question out there that I want to answer for somebody here, but in about a minute and a half or so, this show kind of every 15 minutes or so, we're going to give away a bait to people on the live. There's a way we'll go about that here soon. You'll learn about it if you never joined one before. Regardless of that, there was a question earlier about favorite lake, pond, or river to fish in Texas. I'll start out. I mean, it's hard to answer favorite, but if I was to answer favorite lake around me, you know, within maybe an hour, let's say, there's up in North Texas, there's some pretty solid lakes up there. I don't want to drop the names of them; they're already hot enough. But there's some really solid lakes that most people, if you fish a lot, know about. They're within 1 hour drive. You know, we can get there, you know, on a weekend. It's been a half day. But if I had to just pick one that people would know, I've really started to enjoy. I have a hard time even saying this. I'm really starting to enjoy Lake Grapevine. So I've been putting more time this year on Lake Grapevine. That's a tough lake. It's kind of an on-off lake. But I'm starting to enjoy that lake, especially because of some of the working man tournaments we've been in. There's smallmouth out there. There's largemouth out there. There's a good. Yeah, I don't know if Striper's in there. Is there Striper?
I thought it was Striper on Grapevine.
I don't know about Grapevine. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. I know for sure Ray Roberts probably has some Striper. But anyways, I've been enjoying Grapevine. If you're in the DFW area, that's a lake that's kind of fun to see, fun to hit, a lot of rock, chunk rock, that kind of stuff. A little bit different than some of the other lakes around us here.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty underrated lake, in my opinion. I mean, I think it's a tough lake for sure. It's definitely a tough fishery, but I think if you figure it out, you definitely get on them out there. Me, man, like Charlie said, John said, a lot of big catfish.
For sure.
I think that's pretty much every lake in
No doubt.
North DFW, period. I mean, like, you can go to Lake Lavon and literally smack a 50-pound blue out of there. You can go to Tawakoni and get a 50, 60-pound blue out of there. Hubbard is the same way. I mean, pretty much any lake up here is you can pretty much do that. But the gar are terrible as well. For me, man, favorite fishery, man, dude, because
that's tough. That's a tough question, man.
It is tough, man, because, you know, to be honest, bro, it's not going to be anything up here, man.
Right.
It's really not. I really do think that my favorite lake that I've fished so far this year is Choke Canyon, man. I think that lake has a lot to offer. You know what I mean? There's a lot out there. You know, see, John says PK, hook set on road, get off that OH Ivy crap. I went out there and got demolished on OH Ivy. That was supposed to be the day I went out there to catch literally a 30-pound bass. I didn't catch anything. Everything on that lake is fishy. That water is stupid deep. I mean, it's an offshore lake. I mean, dude, 4 feet off the bank, you're in 30 feet of water. So, I mean, you're offshore, basically, period, the whole time you're on that lake.
Yeah. It's also just a tough question because, you know, if we start dropping other lakes, you know what I mean? Like, it just puts more attention and pressure on it. It's not saying, you know, the people who are here are going to go blow it up on their own social media, but still, sometimes this stuff leaks out, and I don't know. It's a tough call, man. It's a tough call to start dropping different things.
For sure, man. Loose lips sink ships, man. And I mean, you know, obviously, nobody owns the water. You know, that's not our swag. You know, we're not out here, you know, saying, you know, oh, we're not going to give you our spots or anything like that, or places that we like to fish. And because, like Charlie said, I mean, people are going to go fishing. I mean, people fish these lakes all day long, every day.
Yep.
You know, like Lavon. People swear up and down that they catch bigs on Lavon. I have never caught I've lived on Lake Levon for 9 years now, and I've caught 2 bass out of that lake in 9 years. But
So this next part we want to talk about though is actually pretty interesting. You know, a lot of these weekly lives, we're not only talking about fishing, we're not only talking about what we've been up to, you know, around TBFD and those kind of things, but also just trying to give back to the community, you know, basically drop knowledge here that others aren't getting. You know, you're not getting from your favorite YouTuber, you're not getting from watching people's reels and stories on Instagram. So one of the things we want to talk about is that, and this is kind of coming together over a few experiences the past few weeks, our experience over the past almost 2 years now, you know, that to be a great content creator on Instagram, YouTube, whatever it may be, requires you to be a great fisherman. And so we want to kind of dive into that a little bit. I feel like this is something that people probably want to hear if you're trying to do anything. Grow your follower account, maybe just be really good at sharing with your friends and whoever. Or if you're trying to get into business and grow your brand, if you're trying to get in and actually reach, you know, those partners that you want to work with, Hobie, Lawrence, whatever it may be, right? So one thing you got to understand is that creating content is hard, but also you got to be a great angler, because if you go out there and you create great content but no fish, not so hot. And so we want to talk about that. I want to dive into that a little bit. So, you know, Brandon, when I think about it, man, I think that people really don't understand how hard content creation is, but we talked about that last week. So let's just couch the fact that creating content takes a lot of work. It's messy. It's all those things, right? Yeah. But at the same time, man, I just want to start out by talking about, think of a day that we've been on the water for 12, 14 hours, didn't catch a single fish. What was that day like?
It was horrible. It's probably one of the most disappointing things on the planet, man, to be really honest. I mean, whenever you think about it from the aspect of what we do, you know, just because of the type of people that we are and the type of anglers that we are, you know, obviously, you know, when you put 12, 14 hours in on a body of water, you know, and to come home empty-handed, you know, without a single fish, you know, that's devastating, and that's detrimental, you know, to your whole kind of, you know, your mentality, your ego, everything, you know what I mean? Because we're men, you know, a lot of this stuff is ego driven, you know, obviously we want to go out here and catch the biggest fish, you know, we want to have those bragging rights, you know, to talk our trash and all that stuff. But, you know, it doesn't always work out like that. You know, fishing is hard, you know, and I mean, that is the reality of it, is that, you know, bass fishing is hard. You know, it takes skill, you know, to go out here and catch these fish, you know, to figure these patterns out and to dial in on these fish and be able to catch them. And you know, there's this common stigma, you know, that's out there, you know, I mean, we've seen it. I don't know if you guys follow any of the fishing forums. I mean, but they're out there. There's tons of them all over Facebook, you know, especially guys that are heavy into the tournament fishing scene. You know, there's this huge stigma out there in the fishing industry, you know, the tournament angler versus the social media fisherman.
Right.
And, you know, and there is a difference between the two, you know, because you have some guys that are out here that are absolute hammers when it comes to fishing. You know, these tournament guys are real hardcore fishermen. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've literally gone, you know, again, fishing these tournament trails, man. I've watched the same 4 people be top 4 in literally back-to-back tournaments 5 times in a row, and these guys they have 100-inch bags every single time, you know. And then when you think about it from the aspect of how many anglers are in a lot of these tournaments, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like, what is your thought on that? I mean, I can retouch on some of that too after you give a little bit of feedback.
Yeah, I think that, you know, yeah, so first, you know, the whole content creation thing, I didn't really understand that this was a deal, right? Because the reason I think that's the issue, you know, in my head, is that we're anglers first. So, you know what I mean? Not everything we do on the water is captured on a camera. You know what I mean? I don't spend my whole day shooting video and content for you. You know what I mean? I'm fishing too. So in my mind, you know, being a great angler is one thing, but being a tournament angler is a little different, right? There's management of time. There's management of fish. There's also, you know, just having a very, very, very well-known national tournament angler told me that if you want to do well in tournaments, then you need to be a great pattern angler. And that's true. You know what I mean? If you want to catch a check every tournament, you need to be good at being a pattern angler. And so, anyways, point being though is that I never really thought about it. I never really thought about this whole kind of this little beef, if you will, if it's even if it exists. I think it does from what I've been seeing.
It does. It does. With some people, it does actually exist. I mean, and we know a couple of the people that it exists with.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you know, I don't want to go too far with that, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, I guess my point being here is that, you know, to be a great content creator, you also have to be a great angler, because I started with the idea of what's a 12, 14-hour day on the water look like when you don't catch a fish. It's miserable. You know what I mean? Because one, we're fishing. So that means that, you know, we've been putting in the work on the water, but we didn't connect. We didn't put the right presentation out there. We didn't find the right pattern. We didn't put our kayak in at the right boat ramp, whatever it is, right? And at the end of that, because we're full-time working men, you know what I mean? We needed that bucket of content to get filled up there. We missed it. You know, so we didn't get on the fish. That hurts as an angler. We also didn't get on the content. So we're basically pumping out, you know, content that we're not too proud of at that moment. So all of that together, you know, then you take the tournament side of it, and it's like, bro, you know what I mean? I was on a conversation today, and it's like, man, if I'm in a tournament, no, actually it was earlier this week. If I'm in a tournament, there's no way, Charlie, I'm gonna be able to create all this content. And I said, bro, I'm not even asking you to. I mean, you might as well just turn on the GoPro and go. I said, I don't think you're going to be able to create it all. But at the same time, you know, whenever you get to that tournament, when you leave that tournament, right, there's opportunities there. And so point being here is that I didn't understand this piece. So for me, this is just a new thought. I haven't really dwelt on it too much. But I do think if you're a great content creator, you got to be a great angler. And so therefore, tournament or no tournament, all of our goals is to increase our skill set right on the water. Absolutely. And if you don't have that goal, then you might be in it for the wrong reason.
For sure, man. And it's like John said, you know, John made a couple really valid points, and they're points that we talk about all the time. And one of those things that he mentioned is extremely key, and that is the time that you spend on the water. You know,
right.
Nothing can replace that time on the water. And it's like, you know, he brought up the fact that, you know, some of these guys, you know, just for instance, some of the guys that are in, you know, the trail that I fished, that me and John, because I mean, John has fished the same trail with me as well. I mean, there's some guys that are in that trail that are absolute hammers. And like John said, that doesn't come overnight. You know, these guys have been at this for years, you know, to get to where they are. And, you know, obviously with kayak fishing, the way that it is growing, you know, it is growing into a crazy, you know, large sport. I mean, just like yesterday, I just sent you that post that freaking Drew Gregory just shared, showing that they're creating a freaking a Team USA kayak fishing team. like bro, like there's potentially opportunity for you to compete in the Olympics as a kayak fisherman against the best kayak fishermen in the entire world around the globe. Like, dude, that's insane.
That don't even make any sense.
Think about 5 years ago, this was not even a thought, you know. But that just shows you how big kayak fishing has become. And I think, again, like I said, you know, like John was saying, is like, you know, this stuff doesn't come overnight. You know, I've been, you know, doing this whole bass fishing thing. You know, I didn't grow up bass fishing. You know, I grew up just worm fishing. You know, going out with my parents and fishing. You know, throw a line out, wait and catch something. You know, catfish. You know, Gasper goo. You know, your freshwater drum, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't even know if I had ever even caught a bass whenever I was younger. But you know, I've been doing this, you know, this bass fishing thing, and you know, learning about the sport of bass fishing for about 3 years now. And I mean, you know, we've spent a lot of time on the water. You know, going from, you know, fishing ponds, you know, getting our feet wet, to moving into kayak angling, you know, to fishing bigger lakes, bigger reservoirs and things like that, learning patterns and stuff like that, you know, putting that time in on the water to solidify that skill set. And then, you know, to now competing in, you know, a tournament that's going to determine if my skills are good enough to actually do what I'm doing, you know, and you know, that's a big part of it. You know, I think that a lot of people, you know, that are out here doing this in this space, you know, I think it's something that a lot of them are missing out on, you know. I mean, because I mean, there are some guys out here that are probably really, really good fishermen that they don't fish tournaments, and I mean, they are just genuinely really good fishermen. Right. But I think I think that's where that stigma and maybe some of that beef between I don't think it's a beef between the two, but I think it's, you know, that's a lot of where that talk comes from, is the fact that, you know, you got guys that are out here that are just fishing on social media. Oh, they go out to the lake or they go do this and they film videos. But can you really go out here and when it counts, get 5 fish in the boat, you know, when you absolutely have to? You got, you know, from 6 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon to put 5 good fish in the boat. Can you do that? And, you know, that it's a question that, you know, that's left open to wonder. I mean, could these guys actually do that?
Right. Yeah, I think it's a good point too to say that it's probably not a beef between two people, right? It's really just angler progression, right? So once you reach a certain stage of, your skills growing, you're putting more fish in the boat when you go to a lake, you're understanding how to break down bodies of water, different bodies of water, not the same body of water, right? I mean,
Yep.
you're starting to grow your skills and you're looking for a way to demonstrate that, right?
Yep.
And so you might put up personal goals, you might go fish with buddies, you know what I mean? But that tournament angler piece really comes into play to really say, like, this is another place for me to go and showcase my skill, right? It isn't like you're going to become a tournament angler to have content, you know what I mean? Because that doesn't make sense, right? Like you're paying entry fees, you're traveling. I mean, just a few tournaments you've done, man, you spent more money than I would have thought, you would have to even do what you did, right? And so all that together, it's just an angler progression. So tournaments in the kayak space, especially, and even on the boater space, I've seen some dudes even doing co-angling right now. That tournament progression is actually just you trying to become a better angler, and you're having to learn a new skill set as well. Because there's certain things, mechanics of tournament angling that's different than just you going out on your kayak on the weekend or in the early morning before work, right?
Absolutely, man. Basketball B, I appreciate you copying that badge, man. But John is on a roll right now, man. He's literally throwing a lot of game out there, which is true. And it's like, another thing in these tournaments take place. Another thing to consider in these tournaments is that they take place on Saturdays, typically on Saturdays or a Sunday, and that's whenever the traffic on the lake is literally the absolute worst, and the lakes are really, really pressured at those points. So it's like, when you think about it from the aspect of like practice, like for me in the tournament trail that I'm in, because whenever I was doing the Cats tournament trail, all those lakes are down south. So, I don't have the ability to travel, 5 hours to go practice on a lake, a week or 2 or 3 days prior to a tournament. Again, we're working men, we work corporate jobs, you own your own business, you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, pretty much. And I'm working, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And it's like, I don't have the ability to just say, hey, I'm going to go down here and fish, this lake that's 6 hours away for a whole day, basically 2 days of my time out of the week to go down and do this. I literally rolled up into every one of these tournaments with no practice. So literally the day of the tournament, I have to go out. I have to, learn the lake. I have to, research the lake at that time, basically learn the lake, figure out a pattern, and then try to capitalize on it all within a short period of time, So, I mean, things like that, that speaks volumes of a person's skill set. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not tooting my own horn like that because I'm not the greatest fisherman that's out here. There are guys out here that are exponentially better fishermen than I am. But I'm definitely working on becoming a better angler. And and it's not easy. Like with the tourney season video, the one that just dropped for Choke Canyon. Yeah, it looks like it was just on fire. It was just on fire. I mean, a lot of it was, I was literally throwing that spinnerbait right into their mouths a lot of times. But I mean, that doesn't always happen, that you go out and you'll literally throw everything plus the kitchen sink and more, and you won't even so much as get a sniff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, it takes a lot.
We'll have to get John on. Maybe we can bring him on next week. I mean, definitely. I just checked out your page, John. I haven't followed much of what you're doing, but I see you. So definitely want to hear more about his ideas here and what he's doing and what he's thinking.
No, I can bring John on right now. I talked to John right before this. I was gonna bring him on. John, you want to jump on here?
That's on you, bro.
You want to jump on and talk to us? You can't be on here cursing. So, for those of y'all that don't know John is he's on the ACK fishing team, Hobie fishing team with me as well. He fishes out of a PA-14 also. And I actually met John through the Cats tournament trail. John is not only a kayak angler, but he also just recently bought a bass boat. And I feel like John is a very knowledgeable angler. When it comes to a lot of this stuff. Not only just because he claims he's pretty new to the tournament scene, just like I am. But, obviously John has got a lot of really, really good, info, as far as his mindset goes, as far as fishing. No, you're good. So John, man, this tournament thing, man, what do you think this this stigma is between, the tournament guy versus the social media guy? Do you think that there's something there, or what is your kind of opinion on that?
Well, I think first off, we all just have a little bit of an ego. When you get out there and you get onto something and you start figuring them out, And you're putting it out there on social media and whatnot, and then you come up against a guy that has been fishing these tournaments for 4 or 5 years, making moves and doing things. You kind of feel like you're not really disrespected, but just kind of like brushed off to the side as somebody who's not really on their level.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times it comes from just your own guilty conscience, really.
Yeah.
Like, even though you think that they're judging you, but they're really not. And the cool thing about the kayak scene is that there really is a lot of guys out there that are just really helpful, and they're willing to to help you get started and help you out with the rules and get going. But then there is some guys out there that aren't really too friendly, and
Yeah, for sure.
I try to stay away from those guys. And it really it can mess with your head, especially when you're getting out there and you're getting ready to compete. So, but at the very end of it all, I always try to encourage people to stick around for the ceremonies, because you get an opportunity to talk to these guys that have put all that time on the water, that are making moves, they're placing consistently, and you become friends with these people, and you're out there on the water and you see them doing something, and if you try to go over there and talk to them, it's going to be a little different than they're like, hey man, back off, even if you're just out there practicing and whatnot. So I always try to just kind of limit it to ramp time, or if I'm going by them, hey, do you mind if I fish around you?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna move right here. What direction are you moving in on the bank? And people really start to respect you for that, because it's just common courtesy. And that's like a real big conversation starter, if you're out on the water, especially when you have 100+ kayaks out, fishing a big trail. It's all about the respect. And there's some people that just don't give a damn. They take that 50 feet for me. Okay, that's the rules. I'll stay 50 feet from you, and they'll fish right on top of you. Yeah. And I've experienced a lot of that, especially in small lakes around here, like Decker Lake. When you have a tournament out there and you get 80+ anglers out there, you kind of start running out of places to fish. It's a Saturday, you got bass boats on there. It can become really frustrating, because you're like, you got all this lake, why are you fishing right up under me? You know what I mean?
I mean, dude, and I remember when we fished Decker, man, dude, it was a lot of boats out there that day, man. There was like 132 anglers in that tournament that day. And then on top of all that, the other, just like you said, the boat traffic and things like that. It's a lot, man, and I think it does put a lot of pressure on people. And like you said, encouraging people to stick around, for the ceremonies at the end is a really good opportunity to kind of rub shoulders with some of these guys, because, I mean, it was the same for me. I met, so many of these different dudes. Mind you, a lot of people know who I am just because of the social media thing. So, a lot of people are kind of instantly friendly to me anyway, but even still, me being new, not knowing anything about tournament fishing, getting the opportunity to talk to some of these guys, to really figure out, what they're doing. And then you find out, that these guys are basically on these lakes like every other day, so it's like, when you got a trail that's got 8 lakes in it, and then you find out, the top 10 guys are basically fishing these lakes basically every other 2 or 3 days. It's no wonder they go out there and they do what they do, because, I mean, these guys just have it dialed in. But, I mean, they're also traveling.
And here's another thing, too, that people are kind of getting smart on is, they're getting these trolling motors and they're putting them on their kayaks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helping them cover a lot of water. And there's nothing against it in the rules. Some kayak trails even allow you to bring trolling motors in. And that's really a game changer, because if you're paddling and someone has a motor, they're getting to that place way faster than you can even.
Absolutely.
Going 5 miles an hour. But a lot of guys also have bass boats, and like me, and you can go out there and you can cover water, right? And it's totally legal, week out, and you're really finding where those fish are, and you're figuring out patterns a lot faster. So the competition is really out there, and it's real. And a lot of those guys that are consistently placing are doing that, whether or not they're going on their bass boat or their homie's bass boat, you know what I mean? And it really can mess with your head, because you're like, man, they got the upper hand on me, they're going around on bass boat, and it can kind of make you bitter a little bit. I found myself in the very beginning, like when I fit, like, oh yeah, well, I remember seeing him out on his boat, and then I'm like, why have I been thinking like that? Why don't I just do what they're doing? You know what I mean? And then I won't complain about it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
They say that on the radio.
So do you? So with you, I'm sorry, I don't know if Charlie had something to say.
Yeah, no, let me jump in real quick. So I was listening to Seth Fighter talk about his up north trails that he just fished, and he uses, and this is fascinating to me. He doesn't, the whole cone thing was a big deal a few weeks back, but he uses a camera that he drops down on brush piles up north or on beds, you know what I mean? And he just drops the camera down, and it's totally legal. We're talking about Elite Series Angler of the Year. And he said, I don't do that for every lake because it doesn't make sense for me to do it at every lake. But when I come up north, that camera, I don't even have to cast a lure in. I can all day just be idling around the lake and dropping the camera down to see what's down there, marking my waypoint and moving on. You know what I mean? So it isn't that he's cheating. You know what I mean? He's just using the rules to his best ability to do what he needs to do and not mess up his tournament for himself.
And those smallmouth do not care if you're right on top of them.
Right.
Oh. So that makes a lot of sense. Why go out there and beat your fish up, if you can just drop a line down there and take a look at them, So
right.
Hey, whatever, there was a lot of controversy around flogging too. So, where they cone in the water and
yeah.
they inspect it. You dropping a camera down there, I don't see if that's any more different than that. I mean, you're still getting eyes under the water, so.
For sure. So I got a question for you, and I kind of want to get your perspective on it because you being, I know you. We've been chit chatting, for a little while and things like that. And I know you're not like super big on social media, but you're working on trying to grow your social media and things like that. As whatever, exactly. So that's why I really want to ask you this question, But you being a tournament guy and knowing tournament guys, with the way social media is now, obviously with a lot of businesses, a lot of the bigger brands in the industry are obviously looking at us, us guys, as marketers and marketing opportunities, especially on the tournament side. Do you see a lot more of these kayak anglers, these kayak tournament fishermen that would not normally be on social media? Do you kind of see that trend of those guys kind of trying to step their social media game up because of that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because in order to keep sponsors, you have to put stuff out there, representing the brand. And these guys are getting these sponsors, that are doing really good and whatnot, but they're not really, producing. They're winning tournaments.
Yeah.
And that right there to them and their mindset is doing all that they need to do. And really the way that the industry is headed is they're really trying to put your face to their brand, whether it's on a bait, a fishing brand, bass fishing, whatever, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I feel like these guys really have an obligation to step up in order to keep up, because you have guys
100%.
coming into the fishing scene that are just out there killing it because they're putting posts every day, whether they're catching 2-pounders in a pond, consistently. And hey, if you're a pond fisherman, I'm not hating at all. That's your deal. That's what you like to do.
Yeah.
I started there and I progressed, into fishing big bodies of lake and really trying to expand my, my arsenal and the way I approach fishing in different lakes. But, outside of that, those guys are getting that attention because,
sure.
They're catching fish with the bait hanging out of its mouth, and they're saying, hey, check this out. I use this brand line, this brand, rod and reel. And that's really what sells product. You can go out there and win all the fishing tournaments you want to, but if you're not consistently seeing your, face on, any Strike King or Z-Man or, any of these things consistent, they're going to be like, who the heck is that guy? I've never seen him before. Oh yeah, he won a tournament. Cool.
Yeah. So do you think a lot of that comes from, do you think a lot of what plays into that is maybe personality of the angler? Do you think that maybe that's something that is a big reason to why maybe some of these guys aren't, so as active on social media? Because, while they're amazing fishermen, amazing anglers, maybe they just, lack a little bit of personality, and I think maybe
I think every man has his weakness, and that may be, their personality as far as being outgoing, and maybe they're scared. Maybe they're scared to put their name. I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to really get on this live with you because I'm like, I'm like the least qualified, kayak angler out there to come and be on a live. I mean, even though I've been fishing for a really long time, I was like,
no, man, you're qualified, bro.
Get Jacob Moeller, that dude's angler of the year all the time, like he's on the ACK fishing team, but shout out to Jake the Snake. I don't know if he's out there, but yeah, I mean, really, it all comes down to just, really what they're, as far as they have personality. I mean, but you're right. Yeah, it comes down to that they're maybe just lacking a little bit of personality. Maybe they're lacking a little bit of skill in that area.
Yep.
Maybe it's camera shots.
Here it is. A lot of it is these guys don't want to give up what they're doing. I know a lot of guys that are out there and they have hours of GoPro footage, but they don't want people on their juice. You know what I mean?
Right.
They don't want people seeing what they're throwing. They don't want to see where they're fishing. And so a lot of these guys, they feel like, oh man, I really want to put this out there, but I don't. So you'll just see a picture on their story, they're holding the fish, and they're like,
no doubt.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely understand that, man. And again, because I mean, like you said, I mean, when you fish competitively, man, you always want to have that leg up on your competitors, on who you're competing against, because I mean, obviously you're in it to win it,
Yep.
And coming from the aspect of where we are with the social media piece, we're not really in competition with anyone, but basically ourselves. I mean, whenever you're in this space and you're basically just creating content, but while we do this, very, very well, there is, there's a lot goes into it, and I think that when you look at that from the aspect of the person that is just a tournament angler, between working a full-time job, practicing, fishing these tournaments, like literally going out there and zoning in and focusing on fishing these tournaments and things like that, they don't have the time to put, in that additional work to create the additional content, I think.
Right.
So it's kind of like one of those balancing aspects.
So here's my thought on this. This is something that I've been working on since starting to work with Brandon, right? Like the fishing industry is just behind. That's all. In general, the fishing industry is behind. The best way I can prove this to you is go look at a Lake Fork fishing guide website, bro. I mean, you might as well have to send the dude a letter in the mail to get signed up, on the next trip with that guy. You know what I mean? That's just a small example, but when it comes to business in the online space, even pros, they just now are starting to catch up. There's only not even more than maybe 20 pros I can think off the top of my head that are producing good content for their sponsors, right? There's also pros who aren't showing up to the Classic this year because of beefs between tournament series and whatnot, right? So the online space requires you to actually do some things different in business. You know what I mean? You got to put some extra work and effort into it. And that doesn't mean that when you're on Choke Canyon doing a tournament, you need to be shooting content, right? You need to get on Choke and actually win the tournament. That's the goal of being at the tournament on Choke, right? But at the same time, in those pre-practice days, maybe in the days where you're back at home on your favorite lake, just smashing on them, you need to be putting in that work for your partners, for your sponsors as well. And that type of content creation coupled with a hammer on the water, that is the winning mixture. And that's what you're seeing already, the pros on boats, that's what they're doing. That's going to come down to kayak tournament anglers as well. That's already happening. I don't like to drop the names because I can see what's happening, but it's not public knowledge in terms of who's doing what. But there's some very serious anglers who are having content shot for them a lot more, than they used to from a third person perspective. And so that's going to come around and actually represent tournament angling on a kayak in a way that's different than it has been represented in the past few years as we come along. So it's just online business having to fishing industry catching up with online business is what's really going on here.
For sure.
Some folks can't take all the pressure. Well said. Thanks, DFW boss. Let's see. All right. So I had a quick question for you. When I think about, like, I'm looking at your feed, you know what I mean? You're already shooting photos. You're already putting content out there. You have sponsors and whatnot. And so, when you think about where you're at and where you want to go, what's your strategy? Are you looking for someone to come along and help you out on those days, those off days to shoot content? Or are you thinking that, you can kind of stay the course right now and continue to represent your brand partner as well? I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't know you very well. Brandon's talked to you a lot of times, but I'm looking at it as you're more on that tournament grind. You want to show up at first or get a check. You know what I mean? So how are you thinking about supplementing that content?
You know, it's funny how I ended up really just my little journey on Instagram. You know, I came from fishing in the I've always had a kayak. I've always loved kayak fishing. But I came from, you know, fishing in the bass boat. Um, I don't know really what to call it, the tournament scene. Out here on Lake Travis, I used to have a little 19-foot bass boat, and you know, those trails are really expensive, and it was really humbling to get out there and get my butt whooped consistently. And then you kind of get this idea like, all right, well, I'm just gonna put it out there on Instagram and just, you know, kind of use it as a tool just to kind of monitor. I really do this. I use it kind of as a tool to monitor my own fishing. So I can go back and look at a post back in August of last year and kind of be like, oh, okay, I was doing this at this time. So as far as growing content goes, I'm sure that ACK would really like to see me do more, you know, being on their team and whatnot. And to tell you the truth, there's been talks about, you know, me not even being on the team anymore moving forward. And that's okay, because that's not going to stop me from, you know, doing what I love to do. And I'm thankful for the opportunity that they've given me for the past 2 years, you know, being able to represent their brand and then through Hobie as well, doing the demo days and whatnot. So as I can't really answer it, like as far as what I want to, and I wish I could, but, you know, moving forward, I'm just, you know, if I believe in a product, I'm going to promote it. I'm not one of those guys that's just going to be out there and just taking any little bit of sponsorship, you know, or pro staff or whatever it is, just to get a discount. If I truly believe in something, I'm gonna push it out there. And maybe that's hurting me. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but it's really kind of cool. My following really started to grow whenever I caught my 11-pounder on Lake Austin. You know, fishing at nighttime. And you know, when I very first started my Instagram, I maybe had like 60, 70 followers, and you know, a lot of them were from Facebook, I'll be honest, you know, just some and then like, you know, I just noticed that people consistently like to see catching bigger fish. Like
They do, man. That is a natural.
And so if you look at my page, 512Fisherman, you'll see that I really try to post anything that's, you know, over 4 pounds and up. You know, I'll throw you know, rats and stuff on my stories so that way people can see that I'm actually catching fish.
Yeah.
But you know, it would be cool to do some. I think I have one video on Instagram where I put together an edit on IGTV of me just smacking them down on a local little lake on a jackhammer, and it was fun. But editing takes time, and I don't see how you guys can do that, man. I really need somebody to just follow me around and you know, and I would pay them gladly. You know, I just don't.
Holler at Luke, man. Holler at Luke Brasher, bro.
Luke Brasher, that'd be a good one.
And here's the thing, I am going to actually start having a little bit more free time. You know, I'm a superintendent for a commercial builder, so I'm always out on a job site. I'm always busy. And I've actually got offered a promotion where I'm going to be stepping into the office now, which is going to be really weird because I'm like, I love my freedom. I love being on the building. Yeah. So hopefully I'll have more time to do some stuff. I have been a little leery about showing my content. You know, like I won't post if I'm on a big lake and there's a you know, tournament coming up, just out of respect of other anglers too, because I don't want to put something out there and then I'm that guy like, damn, did you see John? He's out there posting and he's showing the juice, you know. And, you know, I don't want to be that guy, because the thing about Austin and this, you know, I actually live outside of Austin in the suburbs, but it's a tight knit fishing. Everybody kind of knows everybody. So if you're doing one thing and somebody else sees it, they're going to go out and they're going to try it. And there's nothing wrong with it. And they'll also call you out on some stuff. So I just try to stay out of the drama. I just go fishing. A lot of times people don't even know I'm going fishing. I'm just out there and they're like, why didn't you invite me, man? I'm like, dude, I just
go when it just pops up.
100%.
Yeah. So
I get an itch and I go scratch it.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you know, moving forward, maybe I do end up doing some more stuff. You know, I haven't really made up my mind right now. I think I have like 1,300 followers. I just hit 1,300, and I really appreciate that. You know, it kind of came out of nowhere. You know, all I'm doing is I'm just posting, and I'll give it up when I'm throwing. You know, like, hey, I'm throwing this. You know, I just went out to Fayetteville. Put the smack down on the fish, fishing with the jig.
Man,
9
bro,
times out of 10, I'm throwing that jig.
bro, that was a day, man. Charlie, I don't know if you caught that series of stories. It was about 30 slides, bro, in every.
Oh yeah, no, okay, yeah. I'm connected
Dude,
it up. Okay.
over 24 fish. Not one fish was under 4 pounds. I mean,
Gosh.
I caught maybe 6 or 7 6-pounders. I caught about 3 7-pounders. I caught an 8-pounder, and it was just every drop. I mean, I found them on the side scan, on the down scan, and I said we got to stop here. And literally, if you've ever fished Fayetteville, the bass boats, they get all crowded up together, and and all those electronics are banging and banging and whatnot. So I came up there, turned off my electronics, went up to the spot, and I literally looked at my buddy and I said, "They're here." And we just started just dropping it 3 foot. He was making. I said, "Just drop it right here," and it was a fun day. So I'll give information out there. I may not tell you where I'm fishing. That's up to you. Look at my reflection in my sunglasses. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like figure it out for yourself. I know you're zooming in on my pictures.
Yeah, I could see the joy in his face that day, man. I watched that story. I watched that series of stories probably 5 or 6 times, man. I literally watched it through and then went back and watched it again and then again and again. I was like, Charlie, John is out here smashing, bro. Like,
absolutely.
he is absolutely annihilating these fish on this jig right now.
Yeah,
and it was
out
just
there, man.
non-stop.
Holler at me. Maybe you can bring the crew and I can show you the juice. I don't mind. Everybody knows Fayette, man. Fayette's a small lake. It's like one of those things where, like, right now there's no tournaments really going on out there, so we wouldn't really make anybody mad, because by the time the fall comes around and the fall trail comes through, those fish are going to be doing something completely different,
Sure.
So I mean, if y'all wanted to get out there and make a trip down here, we can go down there and fish that lake.
Yeah, we'll definitely be back down there, man. That's a no-brainer, absolutely, man. We're definitely going to be back down south to do some fishing. And I'm glad you brought that piece up right there, what you just said, because I think that is a big piece of this, that I think where a lot of that stigma comes from between the tournament angler and the social media angler is that burning of spots mentality. Like you said, Fayette is one of those lakes, where it's a small lake, but it's a hell of a fishery, and it's like, you don't, maybe, I think maybe that's a part of it, with us being, the type of people that we are as far as content creation goes, we create, these really good videos and stuff like that. Or, there's other guys out here that, that film videos too, and they're maybe not as discreet as, one would like them to be, and they go out here and they blow your lake up, I think that's a part of, I think that's probably a big piece of where a lot of that beef comes from. And, I bet you that's what it is. I think that's what it really is. Kayak Waterfowler says freshwater fishermen have spots too.
Bro, more than you know. About 100 waypoints on every lake. But no, I think that I want to give a story. I've given it on this live before, but having you on here makes me think about this whole thing. And I started out by saying maybe there's some kind of a beef, right? But I ran into, and I always train wreck this guy's last name. I'm just glad he's not on social media, but his name's like Jim Lurvy, the KBBT guy. He's on a Blue Sky 360. He's just a hammer.
Oh, yeah, man.
The guy's a hammer, absolute tank. Like I don't know. He was like champion in KB. I don't know. The dude's incredible. Fishes with another guy who's at the top of the rankings in a lot of the trails. They always smash him. But me and Brandon ran into him on the lake one day. I didn't know who he was. I just saw he had a 360 on the front of his Blue Sky, and I was like, that's interesting. Let me go slide over here and see what he's up to. And he was just right next to us, so we started up a conversation, right? And I'm not even lying, man. He talked to me for 45 minutes. Brandon had to dip this day. We were camping this weekend, and he had to dip, so he was gone. He left me there, and I swear, Jim would have talked to me for 2 hours. You know what he was doing? He was out there graphing. He wasn't even fishing. He was just graphing the lake. He's like, man, I'm just out here getting prepared for one of these KBBT tournaments, and I'm just graphing. That's all I'm doing today. But he just nonstop was willing to answer my questions. You know what I mean? talk about, you know, the monthly kayak tournaments and are they rigged or are they not? You know what I mean? Like, we really got into an in-depth conversation. But my point being is that tournament anglers are anglers. You know what I mean? Content creating anglers are anglers. And the love of fishing really unites people together no matter what, right? Not in some lovey-dovey way, but that love for getting out, finding big fish, getting on patterns, putting fish in the boat, all those things, man, like everybody gets around that. You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna be like, nah, bro, I don't want you to catch any fish. They just don't want you, they don't want you catching their fish, basically. You know, on the tournament side of things. The content creator side of things is really, you know, again, if you're creating content consistently, you don't want people train wrecking your lake that you go to create your content. You know, we have several lakes at this point that we can do that with. We have private lakes we can go to if we need to. So we have a lot of kind of lakes in the repertoire to create content. But when I see somebody well-known, way more followers than Brandon saying my favorite little honey hole, you know, a 30-acre lake, I'm pretty mad about it. You know what I mean? Like, dang, bro, get off my spot. You know what I mean? I fish there on the mornings. So I don't want to be fighting with people in the parking lot. Nobody's in it right now.
Definitely, man. Absolutely.
But I think that love of fishing really unites people. Tournament anglers are willing to share their information just as much as the next guy. You know, it really just comes down to, you know, having some respect, basically.
Absolutely. And you know, the more time that you spend around those guys, the more respect that you're going to gain. You know, not only do they see that you're putting in those entry fees and you're essentially donating to the pot, you know,
right?
But they see that you're putting in time and they respect that, and they see that you're out there, you're trying, and I think that truly makes a difference.
100%.
I agree with that too. I mean, because I haven't had any bad blood from anybody. You know, I mean that, you know. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm big and, you know, people are just intimidated by me and they're not going to say anything. But, I mean, I'm one of those kind of people. You can tell me if I'm wrong, you know, approach me. I'm not going to beat you up.
Right.
But, I mean, like, you know, we can talk about it. You know, I mean, we're all men at the end of the day, you know, and I think I mean, we're all here for the same thing, you know, for the love of fishing. You know, and I mean, that's what it's all about. Like you said, I mean, it's all about respect at the end of the day. You know, I have tons of respect for these guys that go out here and put in the work that they do on the water, man, especially in these tournaments, man, because I've watched them. I've seen them with my own eyes do it. And I mean, it amazes me, you know, the skills that these guys have to be able to go out here and consistently put the type of fish in the boat that they put in the boat, man. Like, I mean, when we were out on OHIV, that guy caught a 12 out there, dude. And I mean, it was just like, I mean, and the thing is these dudes do it so effortlessly, man. You know, they catch these fish and they're not even excited about it. It's like, you know, watching Greg Blanchard, you know, catch 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 pounders in his videos. And he's like, oh, that's a 10 pounder. You know, they're just like.
Talk about a dude that has put in some time. That guy has put in some time. For sure.
My God.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, he's my influence, man. He's my kind of angler. That's my kind of fishing. That's my kind of angler. That's my kind of content. You know what I mean? All around, right?
But, man, dude, hey, John, I really appreciate you jumping on here, man, tonight, man. I
no problem.
Appreciate the conversation. And I'm pretty sure you'll probably gain a few new followers from this, man. If y'all don't know, 512Fisherman is John's handle on Instagram. Hell of an angler, man. Hell of a friend, man. I definitely appreciate him. And y'all make sure y'all go over there and check him out, check his content out, man. But again, congratulations to all the winners of the giveaway tonight, man. I really, really appreciate you guys always rocking with me. Again, we'll be doing these things every single Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on the dot. So, man, make sure y'all come and tap in, man, because we'll be continuing to do this stuff, and we'll also be having some more guests on here as well. Shout out to Charlie for always keeping the conversation going.
Yeah, Charlie, it was nice to meet you, man. Thanks.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, man. So we'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Appreciate everybody also that bought a badge tonight, man. Thank you guys so much. Y'all support keeps the brand going and keeps everything rolling. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.